Hi there. We are going to look at the Vermeer painting, Woman Holding a Balance. This painting is an amazing painting. It is typically on exhibit at the National Gallery of Art here in Washington, D.C., and I have stood in front of it multiple times. And it's one of my favorite Vermeer paintings. What I admire about this painting is so much. I admire the overall atmosphere and feeling that this painting has. This painting has the look of a modern day genre painting that Vermeer did, of like painting a domestic scene, interior scene, in his contemporary days. This painting was completed in 1664. It's about 15 inches tall by about 14 inches wide. Or 16 by 14, really. It's closer to 16 inches tall. So it's a diminutive painting with a lot to to entice the viewer to observe and look at it. However, it also harkens back to some of his allegorical paintings too, because what's the mythology? What is the story that's being told of this lady holding a balance in front of all of her earthly goods, of her jewelry box being open, and gold coins and silver coins sitting on the tabletop, and lush velvet drapes. But she herself is surrounded by a gilded, framed painting of the Last Judgment of Christ. This painting is both a genre scene, but it also alludes to something else. It alludes to this idea of judgment, of balancing your life, balancing the temporal pleasures of the earth to the spiritual pleasures and benefits of the soul. Let's look at it compositionally. So first off, let's talk about the quality of light. The quality of light in this painting is phenomenal. Essentially, it is a low-key painting. That means that more than 70-80% of the painting is dark in value. So let's look at that real quick. So if you look here, not much of the painting surface is in the light range. It's predominantly in the dark range. And if I wanted to, I'll posterize it. And then, you can see that how very, very little is in the light. Everything else, the majority of the painting falls into your dark values. And what I want to point out is, when we look at that, what's light? Her hand, and we see a little bit of highlights on the scales. The jewelry is getting highlights. Of course, her head and front of her outfit, and then God in heaven, which I think that's pretty impressive, or pretty interesting. So we have that. Now let's look at the composition of, like, where is the placement of her hands in relationship to and of course, I thought this was so, look at that. Her hand, and that scale, that scale is central. This lady may or may not be pregnant. It could be just the style of the dress that she was wearing at the time. I do think that there is something to be said if she was pregnant. That idea of, like, what type of mother, are you going to be, you're bringing in new life, that balance of being, of life. I think that's very likely. That's my interpretation. So, but now I want to zoom in and let's look at this painting and the quality. I mean, look at that. Isn't that just absolutely amazing? The daub of paint there, and you've got some highlights there. And look at her hand. Look at the way that hand is painted. You have, like, all of this. It is so simplified, her hand, for this, like, that's our halftone, I guess, but like darker shadow. But I mean, like, the hand is painted so simply but so evocatively, with a couple of daubs of paint that creates like that little bit of the highlight on her fingernail right there. Just amazing. And then we've got a slight highlight there, and even right there with another daub of paint right there. And then look at the fur ermine edging, and as it slides into shadow shape, it is masterful. I'm always overwhelmed by how amazingly beautiful this painting is and how simple it is. And then we've got the painting of the Last Judgment, and how I love, even like you can see some of how he deals, like we don't need to have more than the light side, and then the rest of this body is in shadow. It's just, and the softness of her face is amazing. It's just an amazingly beautiful painting. The glow over here, the way it comes across, it's just a beautiful painting. And just, that's all I can say about it. But it is a painting of just wonderful tension and captivation. Okay, thank you.